Well, I just thought if I joined, money would fall from the sky.
Oh, wait a minute, Gary. Are you telling me this is networking and not net guaranteeing?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The
I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah, the key word there is working.
Working.
It's not net sitting. It's not net guaranteeing.
Not net hanging out.
No.
So my guest today is GaryLaRue. He is the regional partner of the Texas North region and the Oklahoma region of Master Networks, which is a national networking group. It may be international now.
Yeah.
Is it international now? So it's international now. Gary has a very interesting history. He comes out of corporate America. He was a trainer. He was also in the military. You were a Marine. Is that correct? Yeah. And he is one of the most fabulous teachers I have actually sat under, though he probably would not claim that necessarily as his strength, but he spent time in corporate training, all of those things. Gary, welcome. Thank you so much for,
thanks for
being on
me.
the Undeniable podcast. I'm very excited about this. I am going to try to do as little talking as possible, but this is something that really hits home with me and it matters to me a lot.
Sure.
So Gary, just tell us a little bit about how you got here, because I believe it was Dana, your wife, that was involved in it first, and then she hooked you into it. So tell me a little bit how you got into this.
Yeah, you know, most smart men follow the direction of their wives.
Yeah,
right?
Behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes.
That's right. That's right. So we, over 14 years ago, we started our own business after a decade in debt settlement and debt mitigation, and we went to go work for the largest credit bureau in the world. And Dana just wasn't loving that. So she went out and went to go work for an attorney, and she got the opportunity to then go out on her own. And what's one of the things you do if you're starting a business? Advertising budget is small, it's non-existent, so you network. It's the most cost-effective way to grow a business. And she started networking, and then lo and behold, Master Networks, long story short, came to town. She was the third person that signed up. And one of the things that resonated with her was the CEO, Chaz Wilson, when he came to town. He said, constant improvement beats delayed perfection. And she knew she was home when she heard that. And so she joined and started having a lot of success at it, because in the previous to that, she was doing the breakfast networking, the lunch networking, the cocktail hour networking, all the types of networking. But we say networking, but what was happening really wasn't networking in a intentional manner. Master Networks provided that intentional scope, and it allowed us to start growing our business to where she said, look, I need you to retire from corporate America and come help. The business has grown to the point where I need you full time. And so the first thing I did, I said, well, what did you do right away? And she said, well, I joined a Master Networks chapter. Well, I'm not a dummy. You know, if a system is working, I'm going to implement that system. So I joined the chapter, and we both originally joined to grow our business. Next step, we became success coaches, which helped launch chapters. And at one point, Dana was over, I think, 10 or 11 chapters. I was over 8 or 9, because one of the things that's unique about Master Networks is if you're unique at what you do, or we call them unicorns, you can visit other chapters and have a presence in other chapters. So we were visiting all these chapters, developing relationships with our key strategy partners, which enabled us to grow our business into a nationwide company. At that point, the original regional partner of the region, Susan Hubeck, reached out to us, and she said, look, I'm thinking about retiring, and I know you guys drink the Kool-Aid because you grew your business doing this. Would you be interested in taking over the region and becoming a partner? And the short answer was yes, when we saw projections and how things worked, because we had done everything from a normal member, chapter leader, success coach. So we held all the various positions along the way. Our focus was always, how can we make the experience of the people at each level better? And so when we became regional partners, Dana runs our other company full-time, and she helps out at Master Networks about 30% of the time. I help our other company about 20% of the time, and I run Master Networks full-time. And so that's kind of that journey that got us to where we are. I'm actually, the actual title is Managing Regional Entrepreneurial Partner. That's what REP stands for in Master Networks. And we've grown the region to be the largest in the country. And
how many members right now in the Texas North region?
Just a hair under 850 right now.
Okay.
due to obviously a lot of things, the economy and changes in people's business and life. But we're quite proud of that, and we're launching new chapters all the time and expanding. But yeah, that's how I got to where I am. One of the things I really love about networking, the intentional aspect of networking, like you do, is goals don't really determine your success. Systems do. And if you have a system that allows you to network to get the most out of it and bring the most to other people, both parties will be successful.
I just find a lot of times people talk about goal setting.
Yeah.
Anybody can set a goal, right?
Yeah.
It's the goal achieving portion of
Exactly.
it that seems to be a breakdown for a lot of people. You guys do, and I may be jumping ahead here, and I may come back and revisit this thing. I just want to, for all of our listeners, I am an active member of Master Networks. In fact, I was at a meeting this morning. I was at a meeting yesterday. I find a lot in that, and I'll get into that more in a little bit, but there is something that Master Networks does different and some of the key performance indicators and the way that you track things. And one of those big differences is how you track the return on investment, or as we refer to it, or anybody refers to it, ROI. Can you explain a little bit about how you guys track that and what makes you different?
Well, sure. I think, there's the old WIFM, right? What's in it for me? And a lot of networking groups, whether they are formal or informal, they literally just track the sale. And that paints a pretty broad picture and not always an accurate picture, because you could bring a lot of revenue in and still not be making a profit. And so Master Networks, we're not really focused on what goes to Wall Street. We're focused on what stays on Main Street, what stays in the local community. And so the best way for me to explain that is, I'll use the real estate world for an example. If a realtor sells a $500,000 house and the mortgage lender does that loan and the title person provides the insurance, there are other entities out there that would count $1.5 million in ROI in that chapter. And frankly, that's just funny money. That doesn't paint an accurate picture at all. So what we ask people to do is just report their take home, what they keep from that total deal. A realtor, it may be just 3% of that $500,000, right? And so that paints a more accurate picture. And why is that important? It's not important to the organization, but it should be important to the member, because that's a KPI, or key performance indicator. When all's said and done, what you track actually improves. And so you need to have an accurate tally of what you're doing and what you're getting.
So I bring that up early because I want to announce this early in the podcast. If you wonder why I am such a proponent of networking, and most specifically of Master Networks, for the second year running, prior to the end of the year, both years, I am reporting over 6 figures in ROI. And I will tell you 80, 90%. I haven't done the numbers just yet. Last year was definitely 85% of my income my business came from Master Networks. And this year I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit higher, just because my networking group has extended beyond something I do for sales and has moved into what I use and operate in as community. And it has become huge for me in that regard.
And I think you bring up a key word there, which is community. You don't just join a chapter, you join a community. And I think to continue the idea of painting an accurate picture, I want people out there to understand that doesn't necessarily just come from the people in the room. And I know a lot of times people think, well, there's 40 people in the room, there's 20 people in the room, there's 60 people in the room. There's only so much business I can do. And true networking isn't about getting business from the person in the room. It's about building a relationship with the person in the room, to where the person in the room is now educated and trained into who my ideal client is and who I'm looking for. So they actually become an unofficial sales force for you. And statistically, the average person has about 1,200 names in their phone. And so the idea is to build a relationship with the people in the room, so the people in the room feel comfortable sharing those names in their phone with you when they're doing life, and someone in that phone says, hey, I need a person that does this. I need a person that does that. You can confidently say, I've got somebody. And you're confident because you like them, you know them, you trust them, and they're part of your culture because they're getting the same type of training and the same type of relationships are built.
Absolutely. So there was something that I heard you say from the front of a room at one point in time. You said, some will, some won't. So what? What's next?
Exactly.
And I just kind of want you to unpack that and where that came from, because I've got a little thing I want to tag on to the end of that. And that's basically this. What I heard when you said that is quit focusing on the no and start focusing on the next.
Well, and here's the thing. You're absolutely right. And keep in mind, not everybody will be at a position to say yes at that moment. But that doesn't mean, like you said in the intro, no doesn't mean no. It means not now. And the idea is to stay in the game. So when I like to call those boomerang deals, when they come back around, and if you're good at what you do, they invariably always will come back around. I believe in the concept that nothing has ever been sold out of desperation that benefits both parties.
Right.
So if you're in this for the long haul, it's okay if they say no now. Just hide and watch. Watch what I'm going to continue to do. And when you're ready to say yes, I'll be better at what I'm doing. I'll have more products or services at that time. The timing is going to be right for you when it's right for you. The goal for you as an entrepreneur is to stay in business long enough to when the timing is right for them, you're still present and you're better at what you do now. So I said at the front of the room, some will, some won't. So what next? I learned that a long time ago when I was in a direct sales company, probably 20 years ago. And there was someone at the front of the room that shared that. And it resonated so much with me that, the old adage, if you had to get 100 no's until you got your yes, how many people would be willing to go through 100 no's in a row? You may get 2 no's and a yes, and now you get 97 no's again before you get the next yes, right? But the truth of the matter is, are you willing and do you have enough belief in your product and your service and who you are and what you're doing to go ahead and go through the no's? Because I believe no's are a gift, because they're teaching you what questions you're not asking and what answers you're not providing to give that person enough information to say yes. Now, Dana, my wife, she likes to complete that. I always say,
some will,
some won't. So what next? She follows that up with somewhere, someone else is waiting.
I like that.
And so that's what it is. It's like, are you, I tell people this all the time. We're all in sales. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a chiropractor, a street sweeper. We're all in sales, convincing people you're the best at what you do and why people should use you. And I think it's important that when you get that no, the best salespeople have 2 things in common. They are the eternal optimist because they know they're just one no closer to their yes. So you're always the eternal optimist. And the next thing is you have to have the ability to have short-term memory loss.
Right.
Because you can't let that no and that negative attitude and that stinking thinking or whatever you want to call it impact your demeanor and your attitude, because then it will have a negative effect on your next presentation.
For some of us that have sales capability, though, Gary, we're a little bit more used to that rejection. But you get that introverted person or that person that's there that wants to grow their dog grooming business or their mobile detail business because they have an attention to detail. Well, most salesmen I've run across don't have a lot of attention to detail. They just have a lot of attention.
Right. And so the best ones do have the detail and they have that social animal aspect, right? Case in point, painting with a broad stroke, bookkeepers, accountants, engineers, they typically are very minutia driven and detail driven, but they're not the type of people that want to be at the front of a room, right? They're not going to be in the room where everybody's gathering around them because they're a social butterfly. Right. So how do you marry those 2 things or those 2 skill sets? And to your point, I don't think you have to be the social butterfly. I think you have to have a level of belief in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And, when you say, salespeople have the ability not to internalize those things, but everybody should take the approach that it's not personal. It's business. It's not personal. What didn't I answer for them? See, here's the thing. A lot of times people feel like I have to do a pitch and I'm going to sell you. And that's the worst thing you can do, because the most successful salespeople, they don't sell anything. They provide a solution.
Right.
Well, how can I provide that solution if I'm not talking to you? And too many people, when they go to network, they're more focused on being interesting instead of interested.
Right.
I need to be interested in you, and I'm asking questions of you. I'm on a fact-finding mission.
So Master Networks does something, I mean, I'm sure everybody in some kind of way drills it down, but I'm going to tell you what landed for me was one of the core tenets of Master Networks, which is bond, right? And Master Networks culture in and of itself is not about looking for a place to pitch.
Right.
Right. And it's sort of anti-Master Networks culture. If you're going to show up with your forms in triplicate and here, sign here and all of this kind of stuff, that not only gets sniffed out really quick, it gets snuffed out really quick is what I have seen. And Bond really kind of helps disarm that. Even when you run across somebody that is trying to pitch you, you can redirect those conversations into you can redirect that into a profitable conversation of discovery.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that because I started off talking about goals don't determine success, systems do, right? And some people will say, well, I don't have a system, like a chapter, a networking group of people that get together in a restaurant over coffee, and we don't have a system. We just want to get together and meet, right? Well, you do have a system. You either have a system you build or you have a system you tolerate. and so that's what happens. And so when people just show up with, as you said, forms in triplicate and they're armed to the teeth with their pitch, what happens is the correct culture will attract the right people and will repel the wrong people. It may not happen right away, but it does happen. And so it's important that people have that culture. You'd mentioned bond. And one of the things I think that's great about that is teaching people how to actually have a conversation, because that's what it's about. I said earlier, nothing has been sold that benefited both parties out of desperation, right?
Right.
And that's what you smell. You smell the desperation when someone walks in the room and they feel like, I need a deal today. Well, if you need a deal today, you should have been building relationships 6 months ago.
Right.
If you need a deal today, you needed to go to work 3 months ago to build relationships and identify your ideal client, or more importantly, the type of client you never want again, or your ideal synergy partner, so they could then marshal their forces and you have 6 or 7 synergy partners out there all feeding you instead of you just having to keep beating the bushes all the time. Well, how does that happen? Well, they have to like you, they have to know you, and they have to trust you.
Right.
And that's the crux of bond. We believe in having a relationship first because I think, listen, if relationships weren't important, more people would buy billboards.
That's correct. I will tell you this. I have never sold a product in my life other than me.
Right. And that's usually what people are buying, right? You may go to an insurance agent, you may go to a restaurant, you may go to a barber, you may go to a dry cleaner that's more expensive, but you bought into the individual.
Right.
You like the individual. You're willing to support the individual. They do the extra things. They go the extra mile. Or more importantly, you find out why they started their business and what's important to them. And those things become important to you. And that's why you choose to continue to support them.
I think one of the things that I really learned, and it's a nuance, right? As opposed to talking about what I can do, right? I try to talk about and find out what I can do for you. And I can't do that with facts. I can do that with questions. And I think that is one of the things that I drilled down on most, is to find out more about what they're going through, all the while the wheels are spinning up here going, okay, in sales training, the world over will tell you how to qualify somebody, right? And to figure out what it is. It's like, for example, sell me this pen, right? I'm talking about, is that Zig Ziglar? I can't remember who it is.
It's been around forever, though.
Sell me this pen, sell me this pen. And everybody wants to talk about, the pen is made out of this or it's made out of that. It writes upside down. It starts, and everybody moves to the feature as opposed to taking that pen and setting it aside and go, Tell me what it is that you like about pens.
Right. Why are you in the market for a pen?
Yeah. What is it you're looking
Yeah.
for in a pen? Why do you think you need a pen?
Exactly.
Those sorts of questions
Right.
that create that discovery, I think, becomes so pivotal, and it becomes essentially relational selling, right? Because nobody cares about what you know until they know
How much you care.
How much you care.
Yeah, I think the best type of situation to put yourself in is a consultative situation where even if I can't help you, and this is the genius in a network. If I can't help you, I can point you in the direction of someone who can.
You know what? That's my favorite thing in the world, because I look like the most amazing resource.
Right. Hey, call Jeremy. He knows everybody. Hey, call Gary. He knows everybody. If he can't help you, he can hook you up with someone that can. And they trust the people that I refer to them. They trust the people that you refer to them. Why? Because they like you, they know you, they trust you, they met you, they built a relationship. Now, it may be an arm's distance relationship. It may not be a relationship where you go on vacation with them, but
Right.
there's degrees of relationships out there.
Sure.
And all those relationships have an element of trust in there. And I think the social currency part of networking is huge. It's the part where I don't profit or gain at all other than enriching your life. I don't profit or gain at all other than providing a solution for your situation. And I think too many people have forgotten the aspect of being a cheerleader for their fellow man, a problem solver for their fellow man. I don't need to make a profit off of this. I just need to help you. Why? Because I can.
You had mentioned something earlier when Dana started networking.
Yeah.
You talked about she did the breakfast networking, she did the lunch networking, she did the happy hour networking. And and here's the reality is that you are going to network in some kind of way or another, or you're not going to have any business, right? I mean, networking is sort of this innate portion of business, that it's building people around you that allow you to go and carry out what it is that you want to do, whether it's an expertise, a product, a service, whatever the case may be. Networking is going to be a key part of it, but how you approach that and how you weaponize that, I guess is the word I'm looking for, is key. So what happens when somebody walks up and just treats networking just as sales or as marketing?
I think I'm going to use a word here that I hope doesn't offend anybody. You have to be an evangelist on how to network properly.
That's not going to offend anybody.
Because I think the approach is, oh, bless your heart, you don't know you're doing it wrong. Let me, and I don't say that to them, but that's what goes through your mind. This person, no one's ever taken this person under their wing. I mean, seriously, people will tell you need to network, but very few people will take the time to teach you how to network. And there's an example of someone that says, my boss told me I need to buy 500 business cards, and I need to go to a cocktail hour and hand out as many business cards as possible. That's not networking. That's littering. Because people are just going to throw those out on their way to their car at the end of the happy hour.
You're basically saying, here, you throw this away.
Exactly. And you're going to go home and lay your head on your pillow and lie to your spouse and say, I networked tonight. I handed out 48 business cards, and 47 of them are going to end up in the trash or lost or put on the bar and as a coaster or whatever. They're not going to call you because they don't remember you. You didn't impact them, and they don't actually, who was that? Who gave me that? Hey, what? They don't know anything. And if they're looking at your card, if they happen not to throw it out, they can't, oh, that's the guy that told me. No, they don't remember anything about you. And so to be the person that takes somebody and says, let me show you how to be intentional in building a relationship. Let me show you how to connect with other people on a base level. And what's important is to remember, you need to meet them where they are, not where you want them to be. What do I mean by that? You're going to get no's. You're going to get some people that aren't ready to build a relationship, aren't going to be ready to share. There are people that come into a networking organization or a networking situation and think it's all a pitch. Oh, you really want to build a relationship? Oh, I thought that was just a slogan. No, we want to build a relationship. Why? And this is going to sound completely wrong, but the relationship is a means to an end. I can't put it in any other words. What's the
Just because it is one doesn't make it bad.
exactly? What is the means to the end? To enrich someone else's life, for them to possibly enrich your life, to be open to what the universe may provide. I mean, how many people have said, "I've already got too many friends. I already have too many people that can help me grow their business. I already have way too many clients." No. And so be open to the idea of, if I only do business with people I know, I'm on the verge of going out of business.
Well, and the funny thing about you say that is, like, nobody sits on their deathbed and says, I should have spent more time at work.
Exactly.
You know, so while you're at work, why not cultivate valuable relationships that matter?
Well, continue to follow with that analogy. No one's on their deathbed saying, I should have spent more time at work. No, but they should be on their deathbed and the room is full of people fighting over who's going to be a pallbearer.
Right, exactly.
Because you built such a relationship with those people that they all want to be involved. They want to be present. And so, you know, when people sit there and say, you know, we have a small group, I don't want anybody else, you're limiting your ability to have experiences and have opportunities. You know, we talked about, I said earlier, if I only do business with people I know, I'm on verge of going out of business, I'm in a hurry to find somebody I don't know to do business with. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
I don't know you, so that doesn't mean I go sell you. That means I start building a relationship with you. And a relationship is not going to be a 45-minute conversation. That 45-minute conversation can start building a foundation to explore a relationship. And again, to be clear to the audience out there, I'm not talking about building relationships where you share a condo with someone when you go out of town. That's not what I'm talking about. Can it develop to that point? Absolutely. Where you go on vacation with them? Sure. But it could just be, I like you. And when I see you next week, I want to follow up and, hey, how's things going on with the house? How's things going on with you know what I'm saying? I'm interested in finding out what's going on in Jeremy's life from last week to this week. That's a friendship. And you never know where those friendships can go down the road. But good Lord, be open to the idea that opportunities are going to come your way, and learn how to say yes from those relationships.
My relationship, I mean, so right now it is nearly 90% representation of the relationships that I have, right? My friends, what I would call my friends in some kind of way, have come through Master Networks in some sort of direction, because I relocated from another region. It was still Dallas-Fort Worth, but Dallas-Fort Worth has 9 million people in it. Yep. And it is a very spread out area. And so when you start looking to solidify your presence in a region or a territory or whatever, I mean, because we got to think in smaller groups. And I think that that's the really good thing, is most people look for a networking group to have 75, 80 or 100 people. And there's nothing wrong with that if the group is growing like that, but it almost feels unsustainable, because you begin to lose sort of connectivity with everybody in the room, and it becomes a little over diverse in some places.
Well, what's the benefit? What's the benefit of having 75 people in a room versus 40 people in a room? What's the benefit?
I mean, you got me.
Exactly. The room itself, if you're structured, and I believe in systems, if you are structured and you're still getting it done in an hour, there's a point where there's a law of diminishing returns, because there may be too many people in the room to get the process done in an hour. The benefit of 75 people in the room is not the 75, it's 75 times 1,200.
Right.
The only real benefit that happens from that is derived from that, and this is where you make a great point. I don't know necessarily why I would want to be in a big room. And a lot of people will make a decision on joining a chapter or a networking group based on, when they visit, the size of the group. It's just like the same type of people that go into a store, and because something's more expensive, it's got to be better, right? And so they buy based on price as opposed to value. And so they walk into a room and they see a lot of people there, and it's like, this is the one I want to join. Okay, great. You join one because of its sheer size. Here's the part that they're not understanding. Now that you joined it, now the work begins. Because there's 75 people in the room at a minimum, you got to do at a minimum 75 face-to-faces to get to know people. because you're an unknown quantity to those 75 people until you meet them and they like you, know you, and trust you. So just because you join a room full of 75 people, we've all seen it. And some of it's happened to us. You go to a cocktail party, you go to an alumni meeting, you go do something, and it's a crowded room and you feel alone.
I had never put my finger on that, but that is 1,000% true. It is 1,000. And that's what's interesting about my next point here is you look to integrate the brand new member into, I mean, we refer to it as leadership is what we refer to it as.
Right.
Although it is your opportunity really to not just get involved so much, but more so to give back. And I'm going to tell you what happened to me because I'm a trainer, I'm a teacher. It is part of who I am and what I do. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you squeeze me a little bit and you're going to get teacher juice that comes out. That's just the way it goes. Right. And what I found it to be was this amazing outlet. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you had mentioned being an evangelist before, and I don't know if this is going to offend anybody, but my previous community prior to Master Networks was church. Well, I went through a divorce and I lost the church that I went to. I visited several more, just could not plug in and integrate. The biggest reason is because I did not want to soldier through the politics of church and all of the different rules that they have. I have nothing against church. I think church is great, but I didn't want to soldier through that. When I came into a Master Networks meeting, I immediately got to join the training team. I immediately had an outlet, and I think outlets for talents where you may not be getting, see my air quotes, paid.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But what you are getting is you're getting your cup filled because you are reaching out and making and enriching somebody else's life first. Talk a little bit about the importance of reaching out and helping others rather than being so self-focused and bringing things in on yourself.
Well, I think, and you know, people need to understand, and we've been told over and over and over again, you got to be a go-getter. It's been beaten over our heads, especially if you're in any type of sales. You need to be a go-getter. But the truth of the matter is you need to be a go-giver.
Right.
Go-givers impact more people. And if you impact more people, you get more in return. Networking, the act of networking truly is, if you're unselfish, it is delayed gratification. Because you're not entitled to get anything until you give something. That's the way the universe works. You need to put it out there before it comes back to you, right? You can't just sit there waiting for it to happen. Well, I joined this thing now. Where's the money falling from the sky? It doesn't happen that way. You have to, okay, you hold the seat in this chapter, the residential real estate seat, the P&C insurance seat, the underwater BB stacker seat, whatever seat you hold in a chapter, that doesn't mean anything to anybody until they sit down and actually get to know you. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, a networking group is nothing more than a launch pad. You're the rocket. They just moved you to the launch pad. Now, is there actually going to be a countdown to launch? Are they actually going to put fuel in that rocket? That's what happens when you find out what your gifts are and you share your gifts with the chapter. For yours, it was training. Some people, they're early. They look great and they always have a ready smile. They need to be on a greeting team. People want to see a smile when they show up because, like it or not, they're called meetings. And most people don't look forward to meetings. Right. They'd rather go to the dentist and go to a meeting, but they'll go to an event. And meetings in Master Networks need to feel like events. Music playing at the beginning. People are happy to see you. You're socializing. You get there early so you can network and socialize. And then the meeting starts. The event starts. We report business. We report face-to-faces. We may sing happy birthday to someone, right? We may do showcases where people get to drill down about their company or their service or product or themselves so you get to know them a little bit more. We provide training every single week. And so here's the thing about your question about, and my response about being a go-giver instead of a go-getter. You have to give to the community so the community knows you, so the community will think of you when they need something that you are a specialist in. And a lot of networking are one-trick ponies. They only focus on A. They only focus on B. Well, how do you know when that person shows up that that's what their need is? The truth of the matter is I believe in the three-legged stool of networking. I believe that the best groups focus on 3 legs. The first leg, in no particular order, is personal and professional growth and development. We're all a work in progress. We all hope to be better versions of ourselves, and your business should continue to evolve. The best part of being in a good networking group is finding people that have already grown through what you're going through. Mm-hmm. Because for an entrepreneur, the most important thing you can do is compress time. Smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from someone else's mistakes. And that's what a good chapter can do, is help compress that time for you. The other thing is fellowship and camaraderie. Being an entrepreneur is something that a lot of people that you know cannot relate to. They've never been an entrepreneur. They have no desire to be. 30 years ago, entrepreneur meant unemployable. It meant I can't hold a job and I don't want to work for anybody else. That's what entrepreneur meant 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Today, an entrepreneur is like an explorer.
Yeah.
You're out there on your own. You got your machete.
Yeah.
You got your machete. You're cutting a path through the wilderness of your industry. That's what an entrepreneur is today. And you have people in your family that you're going to meet at Thanksgiving and Christmas. They cannot relate to what you do and how you do it. They can't commiserate with you. You can't bounce anything off of them. They think you're crazy. Giving up a career at a company that had benefits and all this stuff and a guaranteed paycheck to go work out on your own. And so fellowship and camaraderie is a big piece of a good networking group, that social currency. And the third leg in the stool is a very important leg. It's ROI. It's return on investment. You know, money is a close second to oxygen. We all need it. We got to have it.
Yeah.
And what better way? I've yet to find a more cost-effective way to attract a customer or a client and get your word out about your business than networking. Word of mouth advertising is still, to this day, the most powerful form of advertising known to mankind. It beats radio. It beats television. It beats print. Print is dead. Most people don't even buy magazines. It's organized
word of mouth.
It's word of mouth. That is it.
It's
always been it. And why is that? Think about what you do naturally. You go to a movie. You love the movie. You tell your friends about it. You didn't get a check from MGM or 20th Century Fox. You go to a restaurant. You tell your friends about it. Unfortunately, you have a bad experience. You tell 48 people. You have a great experience. You tell 2 or 3. But you don't get a check from that restaurant. You're
Right.
already doing word of mouth advertising. Why wouldn't you do it for someone you like, know, and trust?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna paint a scenario
Sure.
here that everybody is familiar with. Okay, and we've called it the brother-in-law deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, well, my brother-in-law does drywall, so I'm gonna have him come over. It has nothing to do with whether or not your brother-in-law is any good at drywall at all, does it?
No.
You know, the other thing that I could point to is like a realtor in Dallas Fort Worth. You can swing a dead cat and hit 40 realtors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're just all over the place. And so how do you separate, diversify, and differentiate yourself from all of the other people that may or may not do what you do? How do you become this voice? And that's what I want to ask here, Gary. And you may have sort of already answered this with your three-legged stool here, and you take one leg away and you're cooked.
Right.
You take one leg away, all of those things matter, right?
Well, because here's the thing, and I'll get to your question. Your needs as an individual and a business owner are going to ebb and flow.
Sure.
You need an organization that can ebb and flow with those needs. You may need ROI right now, but you may grow your business to the point where ROI is taken care of, but you got a growth issue. And you need to be in an organization where someone in that room has grown through what you're going through, whether they're in the same industry as you or not. That's immaterial. You can pick their brain and save yourself undue heartaches and tons of red ink on your
We are
P&L
down
sheet.
a way new rabbit hole now. You've jumped down a rabbit hole that, I mean, here's the thing. How do you move? And this is what this podcast is really all about. How do I move from being the entrepreneur, the unemployable guy?
Yeah.
Right. How do I move from being an entrepreneur and scaling that and owning my own job, per se, right? Owning my own job into actually scaling in to what is a business. Right.
Yeah.
That is the toughest chasm to jump across in some way. And I believe that master networks or networking in general can help you bridge that. Now, I think the networking group that you pick matters.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It matters.
Without a doubt.
You can't just, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. I'm not going to refer to any of them because I personally have sat in a lot of them, whether I was having cocktails, whether I was having lunch, whether I was having breakfast, whatever the case may be. It was always centered around when I was done eating.
Yeah.
Or when I was done drinking. And when I was done with that, I was generally ready to go. But one of the things that Master Networks does is it helps you bridge that gap through the training that it offers. And it's not just the training in the meeting. My God, you have got an entire university that you can go out and avail yourself of. There's free coaching programs, all of that kind of, y'all have something called Elevate Mindset or something along those lines.
Yeah. Elevate's a weekly Zoom where you could network with people all around the country, all around the world, actually. And there's a topic of the week, and you'll have a coach or a trainer start the conversation, lay the groundwork for that topic and what 2 or 3 things we want to focus on and discuss. And then they put you in breakout rooms with people, 3 or 4 people that you don't know. And so you can then bounce off, here's how that's shown up for me, or here's how that's meaningful for me, and then we come back together as a group, and then we discuss, what we gathered or what we learned or what questions you might have about that. Hey, listen, there's enough evidence to suggest mankind's better off the more educated they are. Why on earth would you not?
Sometimes better off in spite of how educated they are.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can make the argument that we have more technology at our fingertips now than we've ever had, and we're dumber because people don't take the time to look at where they're getting the information from and then research the information, right? Not all information is accurate. They used to say, if you find someone old, sit down and ask them for advice. And listen to them because they're your elder. But the truth of the matter is fools get old too. And so just because someone's old doesn't mean they're any more wiser than you are. As a matter of fact, sometimes they're old and it's a miracle they're still alive. That's how dumb they are, right?
Yeah.
And so you need to consider the source. And I think that you started this by talking about the group you join. I'll go micro from that. Not necessarily the group, but the chapter that you're in.
Yeah.
Because I believe the seat you pick in one of our chapters can change your life.
It has.
And I think that's powerful. And one of the things that's powerful about us is we encourage you to join other networking groups. We don't want prisoners. We want partners. And we encourage you to join other networking groups. Why? Because I personally believe if you're great at what you do, more people need to find out about you, not less.
Sure.
I shouldn't be the person that determines who you can and can't do business with. If you can fit it in your schedule, join 3 or 4 networking organizations. I don't care. If it's filling your cup, go. One of the things that's great about us is not only do we encourage you to do that, but we believe you are one relationship away from changing your future. We encourage our members to join other chapters in the network. Go visit other chapters. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you sit there and say, my life is so much more full the more people know me? Why wouldn't you? Why would you say there's only 20 people in this room or 40 people in this room? That's it. Those are the 40 people I can bank my future on? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's 850 people in this region. Go meet every single one of them. Go do face-to-faces with all of them.
Yeah, go do that and then tell me where you're at.
Exactly.
Because what'll happen is you won't get to 850.
No.
You might get to 40. Before things change and turn over.
Well, here's the other thing. So let's say in your scenario, the 40 people, Well, on average, and to give you an idea, in 15 years, the average used to be the average human being has 200 names in their phone. Today, it's 1,200.
Wow.
And so if you only do face-to-faces with those 40 people in your scenario, what's 40 times 1,200? That's the amount of people if you're doing a face-to-face properly. Networking, intentional networking, and building relationships does one thing. It allows you to leverage large numbers in your behalf instead of having them against you.
Man, yeah, because you're killing competition sort of in that kind of way. And I mean, like, I can tell you this as a public adjuster, right? As a public adjuster, would I have another problem with another public adjuster showing up in that room? No, I would look to see how I could help them, right? There's more claims in that room than I can handle. You know, in general, at some point in time, somebody's going to be experiencing something somewhere along the way that it's not about competition, and I don't really see that. Now, y'all do have exclusive seating in there to kind of help keep the group diversified and not over-homogenized.
Yeah,
right?
but keep in mind, the reason for exclusive seats is to create legitimate opportunities for as many people as possible without watering down one person's opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so there may be...
Go to the realtor. Right?
There may be a residential realtor. There may be a farm and ranch realtor, depending on what part of the country you're in. There may be a commercial realtor. There may be a realtor that just specializes in corporate relocations. Here's the thing that's important. You're not meant to get every deal, nor do you want every deal. We've all had clients before that were more trouble than they were worth. How great would it be that client that I don't want anymore is your bread and butter? How great would it be for me to be able to say to somebody, I've got the ideal person that can handle this for you, and they're going to take as good a care of you as I would. Or conversely, yeah, no, I can't help you. Well, can you refer me to somebody? Nope, I got nobody. See, now I'm a resource. Even though I can't handle the deal or I don't want the deal, I'm still a resource. What does that mean? For those people that I hand off to somebody else, they're still going to think of me. Mm-hmm. Hey, Gary couldn't help me, but we love the way Jeremy treated us. Let's call Gary for this person or that person.
Exactly.
And so it's important to know the type of client you never want again. Mm-hmm. So you can then, and it just could be, you don't have an appetite for it. You don't work in that, your company, it's not as profitable for you to have that type of deal or that type of client. So you want to offload that to somebody else. So it's important to know your ideal client and also the type of client you don't want anymore. So you can then refer those people out. But here's the other thing. When people think that, I got to get every deal. I have to, no, you can't join this chapter because you do something similar to me. We're in the same industry. That's the worst possible way to think. I don't ever look at anybody as competition, which is why we encourage our members to join other networking groups, because we don't look at them as competition.
High tides raise all ships.
Exactly. And here's the other thing to keep in mind. I can't tell you how much business that I've gotten in my life by just saying these simple words to someone. Are you happy with them? Stay with them. All I want you to do is keep my number in case they drop the ball, in case they get busy, in case they're slammed, in case they don't get back to you in time. I'll be okay. Let me be your number 2 call. It happens invariably all the time. I don't care what industry you're in. People mess up. People get busy. Phone systems crash. All sorts of things happen. Planes got delayed, and they just can't service that client. Well, guess what? Those are the deals that you get that aren't on your balance sheet. They're not in your funnel. They come out of left field. Why? Because you built trust and you built a relationship.
Absolutely. You said something a little bit earlier in our conversation that said networking is deferred gratification.
It is.
Well, profit is deferred gratification.
Without a doubt.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And so if you've got a big pile of money, right? If you've just got a huge pile of money, I don't care where it came from. It could be from the lottery. You could have found a briefcase with a missing handcuff on it. I don't care where you got it. Right. What is, if you were going to go ask somebody that had any amount of wisdom, what would they say do with that money? The number one thing is they would say invest it. invested in something, whether you're going to invest it in an entrepreneurial effort, you're going to invest it in the stock market, you're going to invest it in real estate, you're going to want to invest it because the idea behind that money is to send it out and have it come back with the same number of friends it went out with, with more friends than it went out with, right? So there's a return on investment there. So here is the thing, is like we talk a lot, everybody talks a lot about ROI. Everybody is looking at that, but what you said about it being deferred gratification is the key, right? Anytime that we have anything that is sustainable, more than likely there's an element of deferred gratification there. So what do you say to the guy that has been sitting in the room for a year and he hadn't gotten one deal?
Systems create behaviors. Behaviors become habits, and habits drive outcomes. There's a system to networking. There's a system to being intentional. Just because you sit in a room, remember, that's the launch pad for the rocket. Mm-hmm. You paid your ticket to get into the amusement park. You're not going to have any fun if you don't get on a ride.
Right.
And that's the same thing with walking into a room. Whether I don't care if it's a chamber of commerce, I don't care if it's a networking group, I don't care if it's a religious group. You just walked in the room.
And are you complaining about this now because you want somebody to feel sorry for you?
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So are we supposed to give you a pity deal now?
Do the work. And when I say work, trust me, we're not digging ditches for a living here. You're in a room with like-minded people looking to get one of the three things out of that meeting. All you now have to do is participate.
Well, and I think that that's the thing, is that a lot of people look at ROI as a goal and not as a byproduct.
It's a byproduct is all it is.
It is absolutely a byproduct. And I think that it took me a little while to learn that, because I thought I was being measured as a member based on my ROI reporting. And it's not really that at all.
No,
it is absolutely a byproduct.
And let's talk about the other byproduct that usually happens first and can show up ad nauseum in the future. And that's social currency. The act of being there for your fellow man, to be a shoulder to cry on, to be a sounding board, to be the person that's grown through something that somebody else is going through, to be the vessel that allows them to compress time. Those are all priceless. And they put stuff in the karma bank that's going to come back to you down the road. I can't tell you how many members we've had that because they built social currency, they're now in a new career. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you're selling widgets or you're a chiropractor. If you build a relationship while you're selling widgets to fund your way through chiropractic school, and now you're a licensed chiropractor, all those relationships you built while you're selling widgets, those people now will become your patient. Right. And refer people to you. Why? Because they like you, they know you, and they trust you. And so if you can do those three things, I can't tell you how many people have changed careers based on relationships that they've made in the network. And people trusted them. And they're like, you know what? We need a fill in the blank. Oh, I know who. Let's see if she's available, or let's see if they know somebody, or hey, what about me? I can do that. I'm looking to make a change. Well, I never even knew you were looking to make a change. You know what I'm saying? So that's social currency. I mean, what other room can you be in where you're building such a relationship and you're putting who you are out in the world where they think of you? And I didn't even see, here's the thing about a great networking group. They see the gifts in you that you don't even see in yourself.
That's absolutely true. 1000% true. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And that's why I was saying one of the things that I found about the networking group, or the networking meetings that I go to, and the networking chapters that I'm in, that's the word I'm looking for, the different chapters that I am in, is that it became an outlet for me. Right? It's a testing ground. How would you, because I had this offshoot of my business, right?
Right.
I had this offshoot of my business. I have spent 4 years cultivating relationships, and I had an idea that is going to expand the offering of services that my business currently offers. And I sit down and I talk to all of them. And what I'm going to say is, hey, they're going to let me pitch them because I have built time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I have this idea. Let me share this idea with you. Let me ask you, as a homeowner or as a business owner, is this something that you would find valuable and buy? And you get all of this market research feedback, right? Because of all of these people, and you know the people that you would go to in this organization right now, depending on what it is that you're asking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And it's like, that is invaluable data.
So, you had mentioned earlier about, talking to someone that was sitting in a room for a year and they got nothing from it. And there's just like anything, there's recipes for success. The fact that you sat in a room for a year and are getting nothing, quote unquote, nothing,
right?
ROI. It could be the immeasurables that have enriched your life that you can't put a price tag on. But let's just stick to the ROI piece for a second. I've sat here for a year and I've gotten nothing. I will simply say that there's a formula for success, and I don't care what networking group you're in. It's meetings attended and participated in. Be present. Be in the room you're in. Just because you're there and you're on your phone the whole time, you're not present. Correct. Just because you're there and every 5 minutes you're getting up out of the room, you're not there. So meetings attended and you're present and participating in, plus face-to-faces, plus referrals passed equals ROI. Now, what do I mean by that? The audience may not know what a face-to-face is. A face-to-face is where you sit down with someone outside the meeting.
I'm counting this.
Go ahead. You sit down outside the meeting and you're practicing bond. You're building on a common interest. I like to call those the Me Too's. What do you have in common with someone? And then you're going into occupation exploration. What do you do? And why do you choose to do it? And what makes you different from everybody else that's in your industry? Who's your ideal client? Who's the type of client you never want again? Tell me about your products and your services. That's not a sales pitch. Tell me about those things. Why do I want to build on a common interest and explore the occupation with you? So I could be a better referral partner for you. Then that end part, that needs discovery. This is the social currency part. Needs discovery has nothing to do with your business and your industry and my business and my industry. Needs discovery could be, you talked about you had a change in your career. You talked about changing from one side of the Metroplex to another. Hey, I'm on this side of the Metroplex now. I need a lawn maintenance guy. I need a pool maintenance guy. I need a pet hypnotist. I need whatever I need.
I need a good videographer.
There you go. These are things that's that social currency. Well, I've lived here for 20 years. Here's who I use for my lawn. Here's who I use for. I'm not making any money off of that. I'm enriching your life by doing that needs discovery. And then D, develop the opportunity to do business together. That may be the referral part of it. That may be, let's co-brand and do a lunch and learn together. That's where you develop those things. And so meetings attended, present and participating in, plus face-to-faces. You talked earlier about being in that room of 75 people. If you're being one of those 75, you got to do 74 face-to-faces. And you probably have to do more than one. Because in that first one, you blocked out 45 minutes to an hour and you just got to the B and the O.
Oh, right. Or just the B.
Or just the B, because you have so much in common with somebody.
Right.
What a horrible thing to build a relationship with someone, right? And enrich your life. And so it's a process. And so I would ask that person that sat there for a year, let's log into your membership. Let's see how many face-to-faces you've reported and logged. Let's see how many referrals you've passed. Let's look at your attendance and how many meetings you've actually attended. Have you attended any other meetings? Let's look at those things, because that's like reading the tea leaves, right? You're looking at the residue of failure versus the residue of success. You're not doing the work to get the results. Well, I just thought if I joined, money would fall from the sky.
Oh, wait a minute, Gary. Are you telling me this is networking and not net guaranteeing?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah, the key word there is working.
Working.
It's not net sitting. It's not net guaranteeing.
Not net hanging out.
No. And now you can if you want.
And I have a lot, and it's a good time.
And you know what? Remember the three-legged stool. Hanging out. That's fellowship and camaraderie. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you need in your life. I know a lot of brand new entrepreneurs, that home office, they would kill for 1 hour a week to get into a room of other people so they can have an adult conversation with someone that understands who they are and what they're going through.
Yeah.
And if that's all they need right now, great. Let's fill that cup for them. Along the way, because they're getting to meet people, they're having face-to-faces. Oh, you know what? I got my aunt could use you. And here's the thing. When I talk about we build relationships first, by all means, focus on building that relationship. But when someone opens a window of opportunity and they say, I need what you do, I don't ever want someone to say, I can't now pitch them because Gary said I have to build a relationship first. You need to build a relationship. That needs to be your goal. Build a relationship, build a relationship. But along the road to building that relationship, if someone says, I need you and I need you this week, walk through that door of opportunity.
Sure. That's an opportunity. It's not something that needs to be developed.
Correct.
Right. And I know D is developing opportunities, and you previously discussed that. And I can't tell you, and just for the sake of those things. And here's the thing is, yes, I'll go through that bond process that you just you laid out quite eloquently there. But you know what? I BOND over a long period of time too.
Right. Without a doubt. And keep in mind, those opportunities, they don't go away. They go to somebody else. When you talk,
I just couldn't get him to do it. So I guess I don't need it anymore.
Yeah. He still needs it. Right. And so that opportunity is going to go to somebody else. And here's what I mean about that. You touched on the net guaranteeing or the net sitting versus networking. The reason why I don't think I have competition, because no one's going to out-relationship me. Nobody's going to out-relationship me. And so I'm visiting other chapters. I'm building relationships. And so if that person in the chapter that holds a particular seat is a no-show and doesn't return phone calls and doesn't build relationships, well, that person in the chapter that needs that person, but doesn't know that person, but they had a face-to-face with you, they like you, they know you, and they trust you, they're not obligated to give that business to someone that hasn't taken the time to build a relationship with that person. Like the person that sat in a room for a year, that did no face-to-faces, that built no relationships. There's people in the room that probably need his product or service, but he'll never know that.
Right.
And so that doesn't dissipate their need. All they're going to do is log into their membership and do a search in the system to find somebody else that does what that person does.
Yep.
And they're going to get their need and their opportunity fulfilled somewhere else. I would much rather that business stay within the network and stay within the community than go outside the community. But sometimes we have seats that aren't filled and there's a need there. And I would encourage people that if you trust someone and you know that they do a great job, give the gift of a great network to them.
Man,
they're in business for business. And if you love them and that seat's not filled in your chapter, chances are the other people in the chapter would love them too. Invite them. Have them come take a look.
Absolutely. So we're close to the end here, but there's a little thing I like to do at the end with all of my guests, okay? And it's called the rapid fire, right?
Okay.
So I'm not looking for long answers. I am looking for quick answers. It's kind of what I'm looking for. Okay. So question number 1 on the rapid fire. What's the next step someone can take today to build momentum?
I think you need to identify where you need that momentum built.
Great. What's the biggest mistake people make when they hear the word no?
They quit.
They quit. That is a huge mistake. I agree with that. If someone feels isolated right now, what's the first move you tell them to make?
Get off their couch, get out of the house.
I like that advice. What's one belief every entrepreneur needs to let go of immediately?
Fear. They believe in fear more than they believe in themselves.
Right. I think that is absolutely great. So, guys, I appreciate your time.
Sure.
Gary, thank you so much. If you are interested in joining Master Networks, you can leave your information in the comments. You can send us a DM. Gary, how can they get a hold of you? Is there an email address you would like to leave us? We'll have his information in the bio, of course, but just
GaryLaRue at masternetworks.net.
GaryLaRue at masternetworks.net. And if you are in an area that doesn't have a Master Networks chapter, the good news is Gary, you're starting one right in that area everywhere,
yeah.
right?
So I'm still the guy. If you're anywhere in the world and you want to join Master Networks, GaryLaRue at masternetworks.net.
Gary is always looking for people of action and influence that is getting ready to start a chapter. If you are in the Texas North region, which basically spans all of North Texas, does it not? Texas North region, and you're looking for a group to join, it doesn't matter what business you've got. We've got how many seats in Master Networks?
Almost 700.
Almost 700, and we're looking to get to 700. So if your seat doesn't exist, we're looking to create new seats because we don't have enough seats as it is right now. This helps our chapters grow no matter what it is that you do. If you believe, I believe that networking will help you no matter what you're doing, whether you're in sales, entrepreneur, you work a day job as an accountant. There is a lot of benefit in a networking group outside of sales and ROI. That just happens to be a byproduct of it. Do not hesitate to do that. And by all means, if you know somebody that needs to hear more about this, please share this with them. I encourage you to hit like and subscribe. And as always, I'm going to remind you, own your own story or somebody else will.